2 days ago, my first guest was just a normal guy working long hours as a plumber in a suburban Toledo, Ohio plumbing shop. He didn't attend a political rally. He didn't seek to become a media attraction. He just happened to live in the neighborhood where Barack Obama decided to campaign door to door. Both men probably regret the encounter, but the country has benefited from a simple question that he asked. Welcome to our show, Samuel Joseph Wurzelbacher. I ask you, are you aware of the fact that if John McCain should end up winning the presidency, that he'll largely have you to thank for it?
Well, you know, hopefully they have me to thank for it as far as telling people to get out and find their own answers. That's where I hope they go with it.
You know, I know that this has been, all kidding aside, it's been a tough week for you. It's been a week in which suddenly you go to a rally, you ask a guy a question, he's running for president, he's in your neighborhood. It's not like you went and sought him out.
Yeah.
You didn't drive 100 miles to go and wave a sign in his face. He's walking around your neighborhood, by your house. You go out and say, hey, here's a question I'd like for you to answer. And the answer that he gave was so revealing that I think it's caused a lot of people to take a second look. And yet you find yourself being the one with under an enormous level of scrutiny. How has that felt for you as just as a person?
No, you know, and that actually upsets me. You know, I am a plumber and just a plumber. And here, you know, Barack Obama or John McCain, I mean, these guys are going to deal with some serious issues coming up shortly. And the media is worried about whether I've paid my taxes. They're worried about any number of silly things that have nothing to do with America. I mean, they really don't. You know, I asked a question. You know, when you can't ask the question to your leaders anymore, that gets scary. You know, and that bothers me.
And you did ask a question, and the question I think that you've asked, we're going to take a look at it. Let's watch and see that.
What's your name?
Name's Joe Wurzelbacher.
Good to see you, Joe.
I'm getting ready to buy a company.
Yeah.
Makes about $250,000, $270,000, $80,000 a year.
All right.
Your new tax plan is going to tax me more, isn't it? I'm a plumber. You know, I work 10, 12 hours a day. If I buy another truck and add something else to it, and build the company, you know, I'm getting taxed more and more.
Nobody likes high taxes.
No, not
right?
at all.
Of course not. So, but what's happened is that we've cut taxes a lot for folks like me who make a lot more than $250,000. We haven't given a break to folks who make less. It's not that I want to punish your success. I just want to make sure that everybody who is behind you, that they've got a chance at success too. Everybody's so pinched that business is bad for everybody. And I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
There were 4 words there that probably were the heart of it. Spread the wealth around.
Yes.
And I think that's what has ignited really a lot of people's concerns, that what that means. And we're going to talk to Stephen Moore about that in just a little while from the Wall Street Journal. But Joe, I want to get back to your own encounter. I mean, you just were sort of at home and sitting around, and you heard Obama was showing up in your neighborhood. What happened there?
No, actually, my son and I were just out in the street tossing football. You know, the Bengals weren't doing very good, and so, you know. But I do love the Bengals still. That being said, we're just tossing football. You know, he was getting asked questions I thought were a little simple. And, you know, who doesn't want to ask, you know, a politician a question now, you know, because we always figured they tap dance around. I mean, that's said nationwide. So I thought, you know, hey, here's my chance. I've always said I wanted to do it. I did it. And, you know, now I can't work. Now I can't do a lot of different things. So
you had 20 people camped out at your house from the media, or more, I think, at one time, didn't you?
Oh, actually, it was over 100.
Wow.
We were counting one day, and it's... you know, and they're asking all kinds of questions that aren't even relevant to...
You've been attacked, I mean, openly in blogs and in editorial pages, people attacking you. You didn't run for office.
No.
You didn't put your name on the ballot. I mean, it's one thing to attack those of us who decide to run for office, but how does it make... I mean, I don't know if you know this, but you have now been through the worst of politics. You could run for Congress, and you're already over the worst of it.
Well, you know, a buddy of mine called me up and told me what they were doing, and he asked me, you know, you should just probably lay low and let this thing blow over. And
yeah.
He told me about it, so I got on there and I read for probably about an hour, and I felt about that small. I mean, I really did. I felt terrible. And then, you know, I got friends in the military. I mean, I was prior military. And, you know, they're calling me and all around the country, a couple around the world. And they're sitting there telling me that, you know, hey, you asked a good question. You know, you didn't back down. And, you know, we support you 100%. So, hence, I actually, you know, decided to accept your invitation to come here. And, you know, just bottom line is, Actually, I kind of lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. Not used to sticking on camera here, but...
It's okay. I do it. I'm the host of the show, and so it's perfectly fine. I want you to stick around, Joe, because coming up, we're going to find out what spreading the wealth really means. Economic writer for the Wall Street Journal, Stephen Moore. Stephen, welcome.
Hi, Mike.
Good to be here.
Thank you for having me.
What does Barack Obama mean when he says, let's spread the wealth?
Ladies and gentlemen, aren't you outraged by the way the left-wing attack machine in the media, the New York Times, and the left establishment has tried to destroy a man who creates jobs, he works for a living, he has served his country. This is an outrage. Don't you agree with me that it's outrage the way they treat him? So anyway, Joe, you're a great American hero. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And the whole point of your question was really the question that's on everyone's mind, Mike. It's how do you create more jobs if you're going to tax the businesses that create the jobs? My old friend Dick Armey, who I used to work for, used to say, liberals love jobs, but they hate employers. You know, you can't have one without the other, right? And so I think that was really the heart of your question. And you know what? Barack Obama has never answered that question. How are you going to create more of these jobs when people like you are trying to grow a business? You know, if you make $250,000 for a businessman, that's not that much money, Mike. And I looked at the statistics. Businesses who have over 20 employers, those are still small businesses.
Right.
Half of those businesses will be hit with the Obama tax increase, the spread the wealth tax increase.
Well, he has said that his tax plan would not touch small business owners. He even tried to say that it wouldn't touch a guy like Joe, if Joe was able to one day buy the plumbing business and operate it himself and hire people. Tell me, though, how it would affect a person in business, small business, and what he would do.
Well, first of all, I heard Barack Obama talking about you the other day, and he said, I don't know too many plumbers who make $250,000. By the way, his tax plan would actually affect any business with income over $200,000, just to be precise.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's true, there's not that many plumbers who make over $200,000. But if, let's say Joe decides he's going to create a business, and he's going to go out and hire 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 other plumbers, he's building up a business. Now all of a sudden it's certainly plausible that he's going to have $500,000 of income. And if you have $500,000 income under the Obama plan, that's going to cost you $30,000, $40,000 of extra income tax. That's probably going to mean, Mike, that you're going to have to lay off one of those workers. So this is not a pro-jobs platform, in my opinion.
Well, there's actually more to that. I mean, not just with the taxes, but with his health.
Well, good point.
Yeah, I mean,
really good point.
You know, the employer's going to have to pay the health tax. He's not going to be able to hire as many people, or he's going to have to lay people off. I mean, so it hurts small businesses again.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because, you know, under the Obama plan, they have something called pay or play, which is if you don't provide health care for your workers, then you actually have to pay an extra tax for it. Now, look, everybody wants people covered with health care, but if you're a struggling small businessman with 3 or 4 employees, you might not be able to have the extra income to do it. So these are a lot of the kind of decisions that mean whether a business stays in business or whether it goes out of business.
Joe, if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 employees in a small business operation and the government says, okay, I'm going to take 40% of your money, not 32% or 35, whatever it is, and then you've got to provide health care, and then you're going to have to pay Social Security and Medicare, and you start adding all of this up.
Yes.
What you ultimately end up doing, would seem, is you just say, well, instead of hiring 6 people, I'm going to hire 4, maybe 5. That means somebody doesn't have a job that would have had a job had the government not spread the wealth.
Well, exactly. And I mean, that's the crux of the whole problem right there. And essentially, what if you're just a 2 or 3 man operation? If you got to pay health insurance on 2 other guys, and so your profit's $30,000, why even have a business? I mean, just, you know, throw it up and go work for somebody else, you know, that isn't a small business. Then you kind of run small business right out of America.
And, of course, small business is, as you know, Mike, and you know, Joe, I mean, small business is the backbone of this economy. And, again, it's just really difficult to... We should be looking at ways, Mike, and this is why I like your idea of the fair tax, lowering the taxes on businesses so they can become more competitive. And John McCain is right, in my opinion, on the corporate income tax, too. I mean, how are we going to compete when you're talking about big businesses? I met with Fred Smith of Federal Express.
Right.
He said, look, if we could lower that corporate income tax, I can hire thousands of new, you know, he already hires 30,000 American workers. He said, I can hire a lot more if we get this corporate income tax down.
Joe, as you're getting all this attention, what is the one thing that you wish America knew about you that they haven't heard yet? Because, I mean, you know, all we're hearing is this rattle of stuff. But what is it about Joe Wurzelbacher that has not been said to America that you wish would be said?
Honestly, actually, it comes back to my family. I got no desire to be in the limelight. You know, my biggest and most important thing in my life is my son.